Welcome back to the Money Revolution. For those of you who are new here, we are a podcast that empowers each other to build wealth through the sharing of information and ideas about how money really works. I'm very excited for today's episode as we will be taking a very different approach. But before that, I want to make a big shout out to our sponsors. The Money Revolution is brought to you by Stokvel Gold. Stokvel Gold is an authorized dealer in gold and silver coins that is registered with the Financial Intelligence Center. Stokvel Gold assists us with all of our own gold and silver purchases at the lowest prices that you will probably get anywhere on the market. Now, if you are interested in commencing your own gold and silver journey, whilst also expanding your very own investment portfolio, make sure to hit the Stokvel Gold link in the episode description below and they will take good care of you. I'm very excited for today's episode as we will be, as I said, we'll be taking a different approach. I have a guest with me today. I would like to refer to him as, I'll give him the opportunity to introduce himself.
I go by the name of Ghost Money, and I'm here to join the Money Revolution podcast today so we can have a chat about some interesting things that are in the press.
Yeah. Welcome, Ghost Money. As we've said, we'll be taking a different approach. We'll be reading and taking you through some of the news articles in Thursday's edition of the Business Time, the editions of the 27th of November 2025. And we're really going to dissect some of the headlines that we find in this newspaper surrounding the economy, surrounding inflation, surrounding money printing, surrounding interest rates, and a lot more. It's going to be very exciting. So, Ghost Money, we can go into it.
Fantastic. It looks like there's a lot going on in the news, eh?
Yeah, no, there's quite a lot. On the headlines, on the front page, I see there's an article speaking about online gambling tax plan slammed as unworkable.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So critics say that 20% levy drive gamblers offshore and be an administrative nightmare.
Isn't that a positive thing?
Okay.
To drive the gamblers offshore. The less gambling, the better.
Yeah, the less gambling in the country, the better.
Yeah.
So then how is our country going to be able to generate tax revenue if the gamblers are going to be heading
to other countries
overseas? Yes. How is that going to impact our revenue source and SARS specifically?
Yeah, I mean that's an important question. You know, the question is where were they getting the tax before the gambling was here in the first place? Of course, government is always looking for sources of revenue.
Yeah.
The question is, what is the tax really doing? You know, what is
Yeah.
the tax? Is the tax building schools? Is the tax building roads?
Yeah.
Or is the tax doing something else?
Something else. That's a very good question actually, because if we are honest, we have quite a lot of potholes in our countries. A lot of our businesses are struggling because and they would point to the fact that they are not receiving enough assistance from the government, and essentially that's where our tax money is supposed to be going, assisting these small to medium enterprises so that they can create employment and drive economic output essentially.
But instead, the tax is going towards paying debt.
Yeah.
Because most people are not aware,
Yeah.
Masajela, that the tax that they're talking about collecting here from online gambling,
Yeah.
they're just looking for sources of revenue to pay back government debt.
Yeah. Can you expound on that? Because I think it's a very interesting concept and an idea, in that the revenue source is essentially used to pay back the money that the government would have essentially borrowed maybe a couple of years prior.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we always think of tax as something that's building schools and something that's providing a social service.
Yeah.
And that's mostly why society complies with tax.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the real truth is that the tax is paying back the interest on the debt that the government incurs.
Yeah.
And you may ask yourself, why does government incur debt? And I think you'll see with some of the stories in this edition of the Business Day, why government actually incurs debt and some of the projects that government undertakes, which result in the government incurring debt.
Yeah.
And the question we have to ask ourselves, Masajela, is the projects that government takes on, which result in government going into debt, are they projects that the population has asked for?
Yeah.
I'll leave you with that question.
That's a very interesting thought, because I've seen something that talks to what you have said, right? That here's a headline on page 9 that says that SA's 2 trillion energy plan ignores its most critical infrastructure.
It's a big number.
Yeah, it's quite a huge number. 2 trillion, right?
Trillion.
Yeah.
We're not talking billion.
Yeah.
So just for the viewers there to understand that a trillion is 1,000 billion.
Yeah.
A trillion is a million.
Wait, is this a joke? That is a lot of money.
So the reality here is that for the government to undertake an infrastructure project of this size, it has to borrow money.
Yeah. And
the question is, who do they borrow money from?
That's a very interesting point, by the way. And I think it's something that we touched on in one of our previous episodes, where I think it was the government bonds episode, right? So essentially just talking about how money enters into our economy. And we mentioned that it does that through bonds. Can you expand a little bit on that, and just for our audience to almost have a bit of a grasp on how that happens and how this 2 trillion is essentially going to find itself into the market?
Yeah, well, I mean, as you've just correctly described, the government borrows by issuing bonds.
Yeah.
And essentially a bond is it's borrowing money. It's giving somebody a contract. It's a contract. A bond is a contract to say, if you give me money, I'll pay you back so much every 6 months. And then after 3 years or 5 years or 10 years or 30 years, I'll give you the original amount back that you gave me. So a bond is a contract. The question is, who are the people that are entering into these contracts with the government and borrowing the government money? What do you think?
Yeah, so it's we touched on that. We said it's your insurance companies, your banks mainly. And I also want to make this point that bonds are considered to be the safest form of investment, in the fact that it's highly unlikely that a government will default on its debt or on its repayment of a certain debt, right? And a lot of these big investment companies put their money into government bonds, and that's essentially how the money will enter into the bonds. How does that impact us as the ordinary citizen, and also our pockets and in an inflationary sense through these bonds?
Well, you've touched on a very important point, Masajela, that the people who are borrowing the government money is your banks, your insurance companies, and your pension funds.
Yeah.
Right? Now you have to ask yourself, where does the bank get money from? The deposits that are sitting at the bank, whose money is that? Isn't that my money and your money?
Yeah, it's our money.
And your aunts and your uncles, and their businesses and their hair salons and taxi owners, taxi drivers, and people that all form what we call the economy.
Part of the economy, yeah.
It's our money sitting in the banks. And then you mentioned insurance companies. Where does an insurance company get its money from?
Through our premiums.
It's the premiums.
Our vehicles.
You insure your car.
Our goods in the houses, in our homes, and everything.
You insure your life. Maybe you've got a funeral policy.
Yeah.
Those premiums are where the money that an insurance company has. That's where the money comes from. And so your money in the bank, your premiums at the insurance company, and your pension loans the government money. So you ask the question, how does it affect our pockets? we are the ones borrowing the government
The money.
the money.
Yeah. And then we're going to eventually pay it back through our taxes.
We're going to eventually pay it back through
the taxes, right?
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, that is a loan that the government has taken out, and they have to pay it back.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, government bonds are considered to be one of the safest investments, quote unquote, the safest investment, because it's highly unlikely that a government will default on its debt.
Yeah.
The next article that I find interesting touches on inflation. So it says why higher inflation won't create jobs. And the underlying question, or the opening question here, says that would South Africa have better employment outcomes if we allowed higher inflation? So I think the governor of the Reserve Bank a couple of weeks ago announced that the inflation target is 1%. If I think we can do a fact check on that.
3%.
3%.
Yes.
So normally we would have inflation as almost like a target, right? To say the Reserve Bank will say we are targeting inflation to be between 4% and 7%, or 3% and 6%. What's your thoughts on that in relation with the specific headline about why high inflation won't create jobs?
Without making the subject too complicated, our viewers need to understand something basic.
Yeah.
Is that prosperity comes from production. Okay?
You hit it on the head there.
And in the days of real money, when money was still gold and silver, you'd have to produce the gold so that the nation can be more prosperous.
Yeah.
And that production process is where mothers and fathers are working in mines to produce. Mothers and fathers are working to design machines that dig up the gold. Mothers and fathers are working at refineries that refine the gold. So the old system of money, which was gold and silver, made sure that prosperity is connected to productivity. The new system, which we are currently operating under, which is the system of paper money, instead of gold and silver. The paper gets printed by the Reserve Bank. So more money comes into the system without anybody producing anything.
So there's that link between productivity and energy, and the money actually entering into the economy has been disconnected by the fact that our money isn't attached to real physical gold or silver.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Because now that the money is coming out from a printing press at the Reserve Bank.
Yeah. So it's very interesting, right? I read something online that so it's the Webster definition of inflation from back before 1971. I think probably in the 1930s or so, that's defined inflation as an increase in the money supply. Essentially, and you can think about the term itself, inflation. So it comes from the root word to inflate. So it's almost like you are blowing air into a balloon, right? So, but now the definition of inflation has changed, right? It's become something totally different from what it was back then before 1970.
Somebody stole your money. Someone stole your money through a process called inflation.
And it's even a bit more extreme in the sense that, so when our kids are born, they get born into this specific system, right? And once they have their ID numbers put into the system, it means that they are essentially owing money in the future, right? In their future, because borrowing money or creating debt is you are paying for tomorrow's. You are paying for today's expenses
using tomorrow's
future
energy
essentially, right?
Because those babies are going to have to work when they turn 18 and pay tax.
Precisely.
And then the tax will pay back the loan,
that
the 2 trillion loan that was made in 2025 will be paid by children in 2040. When they are waitresses and bartenders paying their tax for money that we are spending today.
Precisely. And it shows just how the structure is built. It's not built to empower. It's not built to uplift. It's essentially built to. You can even get to a point where you're saying it's built to enslave the masses, essentially, right? And I just had a thought about the birth rates. That I just want us to expand a little bit on that and how having a slowdown in the birth rate in a specific country can impact its ability to go and borrow money from your IMFs, from your World Banks and all of that, just to tie to this idea that we just talked about.
That's such an important point you're raising there, Masajela, because if our audience understands that government borrowing gets paid back through taxes, who generates the income from which the government collects taxes? It's us.
It's us. Yeah.
So if human beings and workers and populations are becoming smaller, that means the tax base is shrinking.
It's shrinking as well.
Which means the amount of money available in future
is also
to pay back the debt is shrinking.
It's assumed to be shrinking because then it means there's less, quote unquote, less people to pay taxes in the future.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's a system that is unsustainable. And our point here at the Money Revolution is for the audience to understand you can only protect yourself from the inevitable danger of this system with real tangible assets, land, gold, silver, real tangible livestock.
And that's a very interesting point, right? Because you see, we here at the Money Revolution, we love gold, we love silver, and I just want us to touch on the performances of both these commodities, right? Over the past 50 years or so. Because it's very interesting because I've seen that over the past over the past 50 years or so, gold has seemed to have outperformed the stock market.
I think that is true. I'm just pulling up something here.
So that we can do a fact check as well.
I'm just pulling up something here, but it will show you that even if we don't look too far, we just need to look over the last year, the last 3 years, the last 5 years.
Okay.
And there's a particular trend that starts to emerge.
To show itself, right?
And I'm going to pull up just the figure for gold, for instance. The gold price today, or it closed at on Friday, Friday the 28th of November, was $4,215 per ounce. 4215. If you go back 3 months ago, just 3 months ago, then you'll see that the gold price was sitting at 3937. So just 3 months ago, in fact, that's not even 3 months ago. 3 months ago, a month ago, 28th of October, it was sitting at 3,900. A year ago, it was sitting at 2,600, the gold price. 5 years ago, it was sitting at 1,700.
1,700 rands. Not rands, dollars, right?
Dollars.
So
it's almost 3 times.
Almost 3 times that. So if I've had, for instance, bought a gold coin 4 years ago, it's worth 4 times more than it did, and that's astronomous.
It's astronomical.
It's astronomical. I once heard that gold essentially does an accounting of the money supply. And can you expand on that? How what does that mean? How does that work?
Gold. Remember that gold used to define the prosperity of a nation.
Yes.
If a nation, as it would do for your household, if you come home and you find a gold bar on your kitchen table, you're gonna be very happy.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
But if you find a lot of those pieces of paper that I see you've got on your
these.
If you come home and you find lots of those in your kitchen, you're not going to be interested at all.
Definitely not.
Because you know the difference between the value of the paper and the value of gold.
Of the gold itself.
The same was for nations. Nations that have lots of gold are wealthy nations. We are just fooled into thinking the pieces of paper that are floating around the economy are the ones defining the wealth, which is not the case.
Yeah.
Gold is still the account,
ultimate account of wealth, right? And it's very interesting you say that, because I know, or I've read that whenever more money is being printed or these currencies are flooded into the market, the more that money goes into hard assets like your property and your gold, and the prices of gold, as they are today and as they've been showing to increase over the past couple of years, is a testament to that idea.
Absolutely.
Right? That confidence is essentially being lost in these fiat currencies, and a lot more money is now being moved into these commodities like the precious metals like gold and silver.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're seeing the biggest amount of central bank buying of gold and even silver. So if the central banks, which are the ones that borrow the retail banks' money
in the first place,
if those guys are buying gold, then why shouldn't you and I be buying gold? You see.
No, that's a very, very, very big and valid point, because it's been proven. It's been proven that a lot of money, a lot of these central banks are investing a lot of their money into gold, specifically. Ghost Money, thank you for joining us on this very exciting episode of the Money Revolution. This has been a mouthful for us, where we were discussing some of the headlines in the 27th of November's Business Day newspaper. Africa, this is it for today. Thank you once again for joining us on another episode of the Money Revolution. If you found these discussions with Ghost Money very interesting, where we are trying out something different from our usual format, please share your comments with us in the comments description there. This episode opened your eyes. Please share it with someone that you care about. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell to get notified on our weekly episode uploads. Let's wake up the masses. Let's understand how money really works and take back our power, one conversation at a time. And remember, if it's paper, it will perish.